we were just talking a second ago about things you're not used to, that are not common in your world, and you see it for the first time, like jiu-jitsu, and you have to grow an appreciation for it. But there's a universal appreciation for greatness. And I'll tell you a quick story. I obviously was mentored by Customano. I spent 8 years with him up in Catskill training fighters, and that's all I was there for: train fighters, develop hopefully champions, develop men. And whenever I would get a break, I try to just get a little break, because Cus believes in 7 days a week, and that's what he believed in, and so I'm in the gym 7 days a week. So there was a time where I get a minute by myself. I'm off in the TV room, and I just realized I'm making it sound like a prison. It wasn't a prison, the TV room. And so I'm off on my own, and I'm watching the Olympics. Now, you guys could help me with it, but I think it was either Nadia Comaneci or Olga Kolbert. I think it was Comaneci. It was the first 10 ever. Young girl from one of the Eastern European communist countries at the time. And she's up on a balancing beam. And so Cus comes in the room, and he yells at me, "What are you doing, not watching boxing?" I said, "Cus, please leave me alone. I'm just watching something over here." And all of a sudden, he looks at "What are you watching, Atlas?" "I'm watching the Olympics and this girl here." And all of a sudden, he looks. And at the moment he looks, he has no clue of anything, especially gymnastics, not Customano. He looks, and he sees this little girl on this balancing beam in this taut position with her legs over her head, and not a fiber in her body is moving. And you see the concentration and the expression on her face. The camera got a good shot. And all of a sudden, he just points to it. He has no idea. He just points and says, "Champion." And he walks out of the room. And then all of a sudden, 10. I'm like, where's this guy come from? And first 10 in the history ever. But he identified immediately one thing. He knew nothing about gymnastics, just like people know nothing sometimes about jiu-jitsu. But when you looked at Gracie, you knew one thing. You were watching something special. You were watching a champion. And that's what you were watching when you watched this young girl in the Olympics on a balancing beam. Everyone saw that. Champion. And to me, that's the best way I could define those type things that you're not necessarily familiar with, but you are familiar with the behavior of what a champion looks like. So
I agree with you 100%. And yes, it was Nadia Comaneci that scored the 10 in the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal.